Thank you. Next up, we have Tiffany Jackson. She is a video producer and writer from Brooklyn, and she's working on her second novel and also runs a writer's workshop in Bed-Stuy called Write and Decay.
Woo woo!
So, now I had to follow that one. Hi everyone. So I couldn't figure out what I wanted to read tonight, of course. And I've been working on a second novel. It's actually a sequel to the first one that I wrote. And so I'm going to read a chapter from it. And so just to kind of get you up to speed, the main character is actually married to a woman named Alex. And so basically we're finding him, you know, on one of his, I guess, excursions. And they don't exactly have the typical marriage. So, and this also was pretty tough for me to do, this whole entire book. It's because I'm coming from a man's point of view, and clearly I'm not a man. So, yeah, so let's see how you guys like it. So this is chapter 5. Man, you're the worst. My cousin Kevin heckled after I recounted my run-in with Rachel from the previous night. I can't believe she threw a drink in your face. That's a first. What can I say? Ladies love me. I popped another 2 aspirins trying to cure my unwavering hangover. He laughed again as we walked into the empty 3-bedroom property on the outskirts of Silver Spring, Maryland. Kevin was 2 inches shorter than me, but stocky, and had a thick neck like the wrestler he was in high school. As we walked in, I removed my sunglasses and rolled up my sleeve past my elbows. The house was drenched in stale air. He opened the window. Thanks for coming with me to the showing. I thought it'd speed up the process if she met both of the owners. So who are we meeting again? You think she's really gonna buy? Kevin sat his briefcase down on the windowsill and pulled out a file. She seemed pretty interested. What did she do? Damn, I don't remember. Let me check. My footsteps echoed in the high-ceiling living room as I paced. She's late, and my brain was trying to self-destruct. Kevin was flipping through his disheveled piles of paper. He's not particularly organized, but reliable nonetheless. I couldn't care less if she sold horseshoes or bubblegum for all I cared. As long as she had money, the property was eating away in my pockets, and I was ready to get rid of it. Oh, here he is. She's some sort of writer or something, he said, suddenly remembering. She's young, though. I think she went to Howard University. He finally located a scribbled piece of paper in his pile and reviewed it. Her name is Tiffany Jackson. I froze and spun around. Wait, what did you just say? Before he could repeat himself, the door opened. Braxton? Tiffany said, equally stunned, frozen by the door. Shit. Hey, what's up? I said coolly, racing to compose myself, hoping the floor would cave in beneath me or a plane crash next door. Tiffany was slender, almost too thin from some angles, with coarse black hair that trickled down her long back. Her blonde skin absorbed the sun, and the apples of her cheeks and her petite nose were sprinkled in light freckles. From a distance, you would swear she was white. What are you doing here? She glanced around the empty home as if she was preparing for a pending attack. I feigned a smile and shrugging. The trick was to make her feel crazy, not the other way around. Trying to sell this old place. No, I mean, what are you doing in D.C.? She asked in a low voice, her eyebrow arching suspiciously. I didn't respond. Kevin took a cue and crossed the living room to greet her. She towered over him in her 4-inch heels. So, I see you two have met. Hello, my name is Kevin. We spoke on the phone. She tore her eyes away from me and finally noticed Kevin. Her deep pink lips parted into a stunning smile accented by dimples. Kevin, right, nice to meet you. Sorry I'm late. I had a late meeting and then I ran into some DC traffic. No problem. Please come in. She sashayed gracefully across the living room towards me, her hips pronouncing every step. She's wearing a tight-fitted cream skirt and an ivory V-neck top. Sorry. Kevin lingered behind her, checked out her ass, and nodded in approval. It never occurred to me how much Tiffany favored Alex, enough to make me question if they were distant relatives of some sort. In Alex's warped mind, the slave ship made a beeline straight from West Africa to Queens, dropping her family off. Tiffany, on the other hand, was also from New York, but her family was from the West Indies. And yet she had the same bright, childlike chocolate eyes and long lashes as Alex. Their hair had the same thickness and length, but Alex had nowhere near Tiffany's grace or flirtatious swag. "It's good to see you," she said. She greeted me with a tight hug around my neck. She's smelling like vanilla and a hint of cocoa butter, just like Alex. She pulled back, her eyes gazing directly into mine for a half a second before stepping back. Her smell lingered. I wanted to slam her against a wall and rip off her skirt, but I controlled myself. "You never told me you were house hunting," I said, trying to change the subject to something more practical, to throw ice on my nuts. "Well, if you'd call more often, you would have known," she said with a smirk. She was good for digs like that. "Been pretty busy. Work has me stressed out." I'm sure." As she turned to admire the house, Kevin threw me a curious glance, mouthing "Alex" at me. I shook my head slowly, and he nodded agreeingly. He wouldn't dare bring up Alex in front of another woman. Unwritten laws of men state never to bring a girlfriend, or God forbid a wife, in front of a ridiculously hot chick. This rule unquestionably applied to Tiffany. "This is a pretty big house," I said, stepping behind her. "I know, but I need room for me and my dog." Tiffany had an 8-pound chihuahua named Oscar, the gayest dog in the world. My pit bull could use him as a toothpick. Another difference. Unlike Alex, Tiffany loved dogs. "I've seen cats bigger than your dog." She chuckled and raised an eyebrow. "What he lacks in size, he makes up in personality, unlike some men I know." Kevin chuckled and I smirked. Like Alex, Tiffany also considers herself a comedian. "Well, it's a lot of space for a single lady. You can rent out the basement. It's fully renovated," Kevin said as we walked into the adjoining dining room. "No thanks. I prefer to live alone. Unless, of course, if a certain someone decides to move back to D.C., then I'll need all the space I can get." She flashed one of those brilliant smiles at me and quickly turned to admire the crown molding. Kevin looked almost baffled yet captivated by her at the same time. I felt the same way. "How about you show me around?" she said to Kevin, who finally closed his gaping mouth. He gave her a tour of the 3 bedrooms, the walk-in closet, the master bathroom, the finished basement, the spacious kitchen with all new stainless steel appliances. I lingered behind them like a stalker. As we walked, she carefully took in the details, gazing around, and every so often her eyes would land on me. She smiled coyly and continued her observations. "I heard you're writing a book," I said finally as we entered the last bedroom. She nodded without glancing at me as she opened the closet doors to inspect. "I hope it's not about me." I was only half joking. Her laugh echoed and bounced off the wall from the empty room. "Maybe it will be. You never know. You're a pretty interesting character. But I promise, I'll change your name to Bernard or Brandon as not to give away your true identity. Bond, James Bond, man of mystery." I smiled as I followed them back down the stairs. The 3 of us walked out onto the sunny patio deck. You could smell spring simmering in the air. Tiffany's face brightened as she admired the narrow backyard, littered with weeds. "Oscar would love this. It's a perfect place for him to lay out." She turned to me, glowing. "I love it. Although, are you pretty set on the asking price?" Kevin's eyes burned a hole in my neck. "We may be able to work something out." He shook his head, disapproving of the idea. We had already knocked the price down considerably given the bad market. "Well, how about we discuss this more over some drinks? Plus, it'll give us a chance to catch up, seeing how you decided to come into town and not say anything." Kevin raised a disapproving eyebrow, and I considered the invitation. I had made an attempt to keep out of trouble by not contacting Tiffany when I arrived in town, but trouble found me instead. Alex danced into my thoughts, but I tried to shake her away as she started bumping and grinding with my conscience. "No harm in getting a drink for the old friend." "Fair enough. Drinks it is."